add to what you said, could we also say that the job demand in the market is directly proportional to the aspirational, instinct of students? Can we put that in perspective? I mean, do you think is that true? I mean, because if you take marketing, if you take artificial intelligence, data science is not even 10 years old. I mean, it's just started. It's younger than knowledge management, right? The tangent at which it has kind of accelerated, the economy it has created, and the job opportunity it has created has been incredible. So how do you compare this data science and knowledge management and the job opportunity? Because end of the day, people see which job pays well and where there's growth and where there are more opportunities. So your take on this, please.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I mean, there are few positions in this world which are of knowledge manager. I mean, there are lots of organizations who do have some knowledge management teams. Usually they are large organizations which have been implementing KM for a long time. So there are some of these positions, so for sure, but there are probably few, and they are not, you don't see every day a knowledge management position post or anything like this. But I think it opened up to, as you said, to a lot of other sub-disciplines. So people who are more interested into the human aspect to it. So you could work in HR development, for instance. So how do you get your organization? How do you develop your own people? So they acquire more learning, they develop their knowledge, their expertise, or whatever. If you're more in the IT aspect of KM, as you said, you might join some AI programs, some data science programs, some big data programs, some things about, I mean, collaboration related topics, about learning, e-learning topics. So I think you need to find where is your strength, where is your passion, and then directly when you get this position, which might not be a KM per se position, you might be able to apply all these knowledge management skills and philosophy in your environment and show how this can help to bring whatever was happening before to higher level. So, and I think, and again, it depends which position you get. For sure, if you're an executive and you get a new executive position. So again, having this background of knowledge management, for sure, you're going to look at things a bit differently. So, I mean, one of the first slides I use when I teach knowledge management or whatever is this matrix that you may have seen, and lots of people may have seen, like, do you know what you know? Do you know what you don't know? And all of this. So that's a very basic matrix. But I mean, if you ask most organizations, do you know what you know? I mean, very, very few will be able to give you a roster or a list of some of the main knowledge domains that they master, or they will do it at a very, very high level, but they will not be able to give it to you in a very detailed manner. And if you ask them, do you know what you don't know? Very few also will be able to tell us, yes, we don't know about this, which is going to be very important in the future. So we are currently doing things to fill this gap. This is also very, very unlikely. So if knowledge become one of the raw material for organizations or raw resource for organization to be competitive in this world, if they are not even able to identify them, that's quite a challenge. And so it seems, I mean, again, I'm not trying to convince you because you have been convinced for a long time, but it seems a very simple question that every organization should be able to answer. And after 20 years of preaching KM or whatever, we still see very, very few of them who are able to do that, which again, yes, KM takes time to show its benefit. Yes, there has been a lot of KM projects which have not been well defined maybe from the beginning, or put too much focus on technology. Yes, there has been some projects which have not been aligned directly to the business strategy, so they cannot show their return on investment. So yes, a lot of KM projects have been led by people who are highly motivated, and when they leave the organization, the KM project die. But we should not be still at this stage, and we are still at this stage, unfortunately. So hopefully, and again, that's something that might lead to your maybe a follow-up question on the KM standard. This is hopefully something that will help a bit to to make this KM a bit more systematic and grounded into the way that the organization operate, not nice things to have that will disappear as soon as there is a budget cut or as soon as someone leaves the organization.
Right. So yeah, I think you already picked up my next
I just lead into your next question. Yes.
So yeah, so the importance of knowledge management standard. I mean, and when we looked at the time capsule from past 20, 25 or 24, 23 years or 25 years, overall, we did not have a body of knowledge for knowledge management. I mean, like you have project management, there's a body of knowledge like ITIL. The complex managed services, they have ITL, managed libraries, best practice libraries, right? So somehow I didn't see till recently, till 2018, till the standard was released. There was nothing else. There was some theories and some frameworks from various, APQC had they had frameworks. There are a lot of organization, IT organizations, they build their own framework, etc., etc. But again, the challenge was all these frameworks either was organizational IP, they couldn't share outside, or it is we can always claim that my framework is the best and yours is not good. So there was always this debate and conversation, and so people didn't know where to go, whom to go, and whom to follow. So that was there was always a challenge for somebody new to the KM2. Now with this standard, how do you see? I mean, what is your view of what do you see? How do you think the knowledge management would develop if people, the practitioner starts? First of all, we as a KM practitioners, are we openly looking at it? That is first question. Second question is, if as a KM community, if we are not really looking and accepting the KM standard, how can we propagate this KM standard to other organizations who don't have formal KM? I mean, a pretty complex question here, but very, very important, apt for this time during this pandemic.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, so that's interesting because so I know a lot of people who have been involved in developing this standard, and I know it has been quite a challenging, and there's been a lot of debates all along defining the different part of this standard for all these experts to agree on every word which was defined. So just on the word knowledge, there was already a lot of debate and so on. But finally, and fortunately, I believe they were able to all agree on a first version of this standard. So you're perfectly right. You still have, and I know a lot of people who don't believe that's something that is going to help the KM field or don't believe into it. And I mean, I personally think that's a very good thing for the field of KM. For I mean, some of the reasons you mentioned early on. Maybe the people who are not supporting it or who don't believe in it is maybe because they don't properly understand it. I think the standards, the way that the ISO standards are developed these days, which is different from 20 years ago, I mean, give enough freedom for everyone to explore the way they want to do it. As I was saying early on, yes, every organization needs to put more emphasis on this or less on that, or they are stronger on this and weaker on other things. So every organization needs to find the right balance on how they go about these things. But at the end of the day, they still need to have some sub-processes in place that helps to identify knowledge, transfer it, store it, share it. I mean, all of these traditional sub-processes. So having, as you said, I mean, a common language, a common understanding, and I mean, it's something that we should have had maybe 10 years ago, not have even waited so long to get to this. But the fact we reached this thing, I think is very, very positive. I hope it's going to lead to, it's going to increase again the interest of organization to, not to be accredited yet, but at least to meet some of these requirements in their own country. But I do believe, yes, that it's very valuable, and there are so the way that ISO also develops this management system standard And there are other one in other disciplines. I mean, there is one also recently released in about innovation management, and there are lots of them on other aspects of management, but they all have the same structure, and they all can somehow work very well with each other or embed each other. So it's not something you're going to do separately, but that's something which is going to also fit very well with the other existing standards. So if you are certified ISO 9001 or whatever, again, this will be a nice add-on to it, and that will demonstrate that, yes, in my organization, I can systematically manage my knowledge, which again is at the core of everything. Like I said, a core of every decision. So if you have poor knowledge, or if your knowledge is not of high quality, I mean, your decisions that result from it indirectly will also not be of good quality. So it's a bit garbage in, garbage out. So yeah, so it shows that at least you are doing the basic systematic things to manage your knowledge. So when people leave, you don't lose critical knowledge, which is gonna, affect your business continuity or whatever. And so having a partner, so organization should think about it. I mean, if I have a supplier or a partner, and we know that, I mean, their key knowledge resides on a couple of experts, and suddenly this expert leaves the organization or retire or whatever, is my supplier or my partner still going to be able to deliver what they promised, and so on? So yes, it does have a lot of very important impact, and this just leads me to an idea. I mean, very often it's I mean, when you talk about knowledge management and you show the benefits of knowledge management, everyone will say, oh yes, that's great, yeah, we need to do that, yes, for sure. I mean, no one will contradict it, but as we discussed before, it's very often it's not later on very sustainable or not well implemented. Now, if you present the thing in a slightly different way, you say, what are the risks or what are the costs of not managing knowledge? So suddenly people look at it in a completely different way because they feel responsible. So what if you lose this expert? How is it going to affect your business and all your stuff? So have you done anything about it to mitigate this risk? And so when you it's exactly the same thing, but reversing is looking at it from the other side of the coin and say, okay, what are the risks and the cost of not managing knowledge? Have you ever evaluated it, or are you aware of it? And usually this makes them think differently, and they say, well, now I'm quite responsible of this. Maybe I should pay more attention to it. And again, how do you do it? Well, here you have a standard which is well accepted by, which has been developed by experts, which has been officialized by ISO and by AFNOR in France and by a lot of international certifying organizations. So yes, I mean, you should, that's a very good framework to build upon. Yes.
Yeah, I think I do completely agree of your views and the insight you're bringing related to standards. So there's one question again in this particular subject.
Yes.
Now, how are universities? I mean, of course, you're already working, and you've been, you founded a Ph.D. in knowledge management programs, which I don't think there's not many universities which is offering knowledge management as the major programs, right? How do you see they can integrate the ISO standards as one of the core curriculum, or do you think the academic is ready to accept? Firstly, because everything starts with the academic in terms of, one is the industry and the academics. Once you have that academic awareness, then it slowly spreads in the industry, or the industry, if it happens in industry, then it spreads to academic. They catch and they again do the thing. So here, where are we? I mean, in terms of, ISO standards, so though it is practitioners who have created the body of knowledge, now, where is academic coming and positioning itself regarding this standard? I mean, is it for two, or like they're waiting and watching? Because I see a lot of still the kind of response across the globe. Is it wait and watch? That is one, or is it that they're waiting for some tangible benefits they want to look from the aspect? or they're looking for, again, people are going to making commercialized and they're worried about that. So what do you think, where do the academics stand or the industry stand with respect to the standard? I think.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I understand your question. Yes. So I mean, as academics, so our PhD program is mainly research-based, so we don't really have courses, but we have seminars when we introduce topics to our students. And for sure, we do talk about, I mean, we present the standard, like we present other topics to students, so they are aware that it exists, and also aware about what's in it and how it's potentially differentiate from other standards and things like this. So we want to make sure that they are aware. I mean, we raise the awareness about all the different tools, technique, approach, procedure, policies, whatever that exists around KM. So our students have this knowledge too. But later on, I mean, each of them pick a topic which is of interest to them, which might be relevant, which might be, which might tackle different levels. So it could be the individual level or the team level or the unit level or organizational level or national level, international level, so economic level, whatever. So depending which level, so if they're looking more at strategy, for instance, so yes, I mean, when you develop a KM strategy, again, you need to see later on, how does it fit, I mean, with the standard, or how you're going to implement this strategy, how you're going to operationalize this strategy, this KM strategy through the ISO. So I think it's an important tool, an important, again, reference that they can go to. I've seen a little bit, I've not checked recently, but we can start to see also in the academic publication some papers that relate or that take in consideration the standard, or try to see how the standard have been applied, or start to see also some case study, things like this. So we see that, I mean, it's going to take a bit of time also for the standard to be applied or to be recognized. But again, large organization or organization who do have a KM team in place, I mean, for sure are starting to look into it to see, I mean, what do they need to do to fully align to the standard, knowing that maybe 80% or 90% of what they are doing already fit into the standard. But again, maybe there are some aspects that they have not really focused on that might still need to be further developed to fully align with the or to be fully compliant with the standard. Yes. So yes. So it's a new body of knowledge, if you want, in the field of knowledge management that we for sure we need to make our students aware of. But how they use it, or it's up to them, or up to their research, at least during the PhD, and for sure later on, depending on the position they will get, this might be they might be able to use it or not. But at least they're aware that it exists.